everyone, and welcome to Living Healthy and Aging Well. My name is Ken Haglind, and we are broadcasting from the AM 950 radio station that overlooks Bryant Lake Regional Park, located in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. It is another beautiful day here in the Twin Cities, and I am so grateful to be here with you today. And I hope all of you listening are doing well. We are on the air every Saturday from noon to 1 to talk about your health and your life. We cover a wide range of topics to help you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. We have another great show for you today. Joining me in a few minutes will be Lachelle Semanko. She is the Executive Director of Rein in Sarcoma, and she is here to talk about sarcomas, an uncommon and often misdiagnosed group of bone and soft tissue cancers that strike children and adults. Since 2001, Rien in Sarcoma has funded many research projects towards developing new treatments and finding cures for sarcomas cancers. This is just one part of their three-pronged mission to eliminate sarcomas. Their mission includes education programs to increase awareness and support events to provide connections between sarcoma patients, survivors, and those who have lost a loved one to sarcoma. You'll enjoy listening to my conversation today with Lachelle Semanko. Also joining us today is Kay, a high school senior who will be helping me during the show. I want to thank all of you that leave us messages on our radio show phone line. We appreciate hearing from you, and we welcome your comments, questions, and topics for future shows. Also, if you are interested in being a guest on our radio show, please call or text us at 612-999-3426. You can also contact us on our website at livinghealthyradio.com. There you can find information about upcoming guests as well as listen to our previous shows. We look forward to hearing from you. We are adding new listeners to the show each week, not only here in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, but also throughout the country. You can find podcasts for all of our live radio shows on the AM 950 radio website, and we can also be found on your favorite streaming service, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and many others. You can also watch our broadcast live on the radio station's Facebook page at AM 950 Radio. If you have a question for us today, there's two ways to reach us. First, by calling the AM 950 radio station, and our friendly show producer, Tom, will get your call on the air. Our phone number is 952-946-6205. Once again, 952-946-6205. Or you can directly text us your questions at 612-999-3426. Now, don't worry. If you missed our contact numbers, we'll repeat them throughout the show. All right, I want to welcome my guest for today's show, Lachelle Semanko, Executive Director of Rein in Sarcoma. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ken. I'm happy to be here.
All right, this is just great. It was great talking to you before the show and learning about sarcoma. Even though my organization is in healthcare and we deal with all kinds of diseases at end of life in hospice, we rarely come across sarcoma. So many of the providers that are in our organization know about sarcoma, but we just don't really see it that often where we're at. So it was very interesting to me to learn more about sarcoma. So I'm fascinated to learn more during the show today. But before we jump into that, the audience loves to learn who is on the show. And could we get a little background from you?
Sure, yeah. Well, I am a Minnesota native and have really spent my entire career in nonprofit. It's been 26 years now, and before landing at Rein in Sarcoma, I spent 23 years in mission delivery and executive roles at Make-A-Wish, Minnesota. I currently serve as the executive director at Rein in Sarcoma. It's been almost 3 years now. And I actually fell in love with volunteering while I was a college student. I volunteered at a couple of different organizations, landed at Make-A-Wish, which then led me to be hired onto staff there. And that really just began my career in nonprofit. I wasn't planning to be a nonprofit leader at the time, but my volunteering led me to that, and that's where I've been ever since. During my time at Make-A-Wish, I worked with maybe hundreds of children and families that were impacted by sarcoma cancer. So I was aware of sarcoma. I had always been inspired by the work that Rien and Sarcoma was doing, especially in the area of research, which was really a new area for me to dig into. Luckily for me at Rien and Sarcoma, I get to work, with researchers and see the work that they're doing every single day to help find better treatments and a cure for sarcoma. So I'm just inspired. I'm inspired by the families that are here and happy to be where I'm at.
Okay, so what then inspired you to really make the commitment, to make this jump? Because Make-A-Wish, I think almost everybody knows what Make-A-Wish is, and that's an amazing organization. I got to get them on the show here because there's so much amazing things that they do, and you can testify for that.
Yeah. I guess it was just the families that I had been working with, and also as I was starting to seek the opportunity to work for Rien and Sarcoma, my then 11-year-old cousin Carter was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, which is a bone sarcoma. Still, now it's 3 years later, he's battling, and the mission is just deeply personal for me as well. And so I feel like if I can be someone to help find breakthroughs and make a change in advanced sarcoma care, I want to be a part of that.
Tell us about how Rien in Sarcoma started. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting, people thinking Rein, okay, R-A-I-N,
yes.
R-E-I-N, you're reigning in sarcoma. Tell us about that story.
Yeah, so Rien in Sarcoma started by a young woman. Her name was Karen Wyckoff. She was diagnosed with synovial sarcoma, and this was prior to 2001. She didn't survive her diagnosis, but while she was alive, with treatments and things like that, she was having a hard time walking. She wanted to do something to raise research money for sarcoma research and decided she wanted to have a fundraiser. She couldn't walk very well, but she could ride a carousel, and she loved carousels. So she and her family planned a fundraising event at Como Park, Caucasian's Carousel there. Over 300 people attended. They raised $10,000 for sarcoma research and gave that money to the University of Minnesota. And shortly after that event, Karen passed away, and her family and friends decided they wanted to continue her legacy and the work that she had been doing. And so they continued the organization and formalized it, called it Rien and Sarcoma, like holding the reins of a horse
on the carousel.
Right. Yep. Okay. So we get a lot of questions about the name, but that's where the name came from, and that's how the organization started.
And Karen was young, right?
She was 19.
19.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. So, boy, you're doing a lot of work. And how long has it been since? It's been 2001, so it's 25 years.
Mm-hmm. We just celebrated our 25th anniversary. The first 17 years of the organization was completely volunteer-driven, and so we've just now had staff hired in the past seven or 8 years here, and we've got a small staff, 4 people.
Wow. But it's amazing how a few people that are committed to something can make huge changes.
Absolutely. Yep.
So it's a Minnesota-based organization. Mm-hmm. It's a 501(c)(3). It's a nonprofit. So people, if they're interested in helping support this, and we'll mention this throughout the show, but they can volunteer, they can donate. Are there other organizations like yours across the country?
There are 2 others that I can think of, that I'm aware of, that are considered pan-sarcoma organizations. There's one in the Northwest and then one in southern United States. But we're one of only the 3 that provide direct patient support, research, and education across the nation for all sarcoma types.
Wow. One of the things that I've learned on this show over the years is that people always think that things that happen to them, they're the only one. And I know one of the big things about your organization is to bring people together. In fact, so many organizations I've had on the show, their mission is to connect people, because there's nothing like somebody who's going through it that can relate and understand the things that you're going through. And tell us about how you guys make those connections.
Yeah, we hear all the time, sarcoma. I've never even heard of sarcoma. What is it? Until it's happened to me or someone that you love. And it can feel very isolating. So we hear a lot that I would love to meet someone or know someone or connect with someone who's been on a similar journey. So we have volunteers who are sarcoma survivors or caregivers. They're may have had a child who had sarcoma, and we have a peer mentor program. So we connect newly diagnosed patients with those peer mentors who have been through that journey, and it's been, life-changing in some cases for those who are newly diagnosed, just to give hope and support and know that they're not alone. And yeah, we're available to do that.
Oh, that's great. All right. I hear the music. It's time for a short break. We will be right back to continue our conversation with Lachelle Semanko, Executive Director of Rein in Sarcoma. And she's here talking about sarcomas, an uncommon and often misdiagnosed group of bone and soft tissue cancers that strike children and adults. If you have a question for us, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Haglind, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been telling you about my friends at Snap Construction, who are arguably the most well-reviewed exterior construction company in the metro. Don't just take my word for it. Take a look at all their reviews online. Winter is the most cost-effective time of the year to complete your construction project. A majority of Minnesotans choose to have their work completed on their home in the summer when they should be enjoying the weather. As a result, the demand for labor in the summer is much higher. The most cost-effective way to improve or restore your home is in the winter due to the lower demand. Right now, Snap Construction is offering an additional 30% off of labor to the AM 950 listeners on your next construction project between now and the end of February. Call 612-333-SNAP and mention AM 950 for an additional 30% off. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Don't wait to get a free estimate by calling 612-333-SNAP or find them online at snapconstruction.com. Financing options available.
What if I told you that toxic pesticides from crop seeds and lawns have spread all over Minnesota's lands and water, devastating wildlife and posing risks to our health? Well, it's true. But a coalition of Minnesota farmers, community members, anglers, and more are taking action to protect our state from neurotoxic pesticides. To learn more and get involved, visit cleanerseed.org. That's cleanerseed.org. And tune to Food Freedom Radio.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. February is the month for love, so when was the last time you gave your carpet the love and attention it deserves? Maybe you've been procrastinating on the holiday post-mortem cleanup at your house. Are you worried if you got down on your hands and knees what you might see or smell? Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, but it's also the largest air filter in your home. And what's worse, you're going to be stuck inside breathing this nasty stuff for months. Lucky for you, Zero Res is going to spread the love to you and your home. This month, get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $119 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Call my friends at Zero Res right now, 952-ZERO-RES, or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. A 4.9 rating on Google reviews and over 21,000 satisfied customers can't be wrong. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Celebrate Valentine's with the perfect musical. The Chameleon Theater Circle is proud to present I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change. Bright, sexy, witty, and fun, this show will appeal to anyone who has ever fallen into the deep end of love and come up gasping for air. Shows run 3 weekends starting February 13th at Inver Hills Community College, Just Google Chameleon Theater to see times and reserve tickets. I love you. You're perfect now. Change with the Chameleon Theater Circle. Get your tickets now.
All right, welcome back, everybody. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today is Lachelle Semanko, Executive Director of Rein in Sarcoma, and she's here talking about sarcomas, which is an uncommon and often misdiagnosed group of bone and soft tissue cancers that strikes both children and adults. And we're going through all kinds of things here to help us raise awareness to this unique area of healthcare. Lachelle, how can our listeners contact you and your organization if they have questions, want more information, may want to volunteer or possibly donate to the cause?
Yeah, the best way to reach out is to visit our website. So that is ReinInSarcoma.org, and you'll find all of the information there, tabs on how to volunteer, donate, patient services and support. All of that is at our website, so I would encourage you to visit that.
All right, and it's spelled REIN, Rein in Sarcoma.
Right.
Okay, .org.
.org.
Fantastic. Kay, how can our listeners contact us with questions they have during the show today?
Listeners can call us with questions at 952-946-6205 or text us at 612-999-3426.
All right, fantastic. Well, Lachelle, let's talk about the services that your organization provides to the communities, to people that are going through it. Again, I think a lot of people are going to be new to just the word sarcoma because they understand the word cancer. I think that's a ubiquitous term, but I think sarcoma, people are maybe not quite sure of what that is, since it is kind of a rare cancer in adults, and although it's a top 5 in children, right? So again, it's things we should be aware of.
Yeah, sarcoma cancers are considered rare. 1% of adults, adult cancers are considered sarcomas, and like you said, 15%, top 5 in children. We like to say, or the stats show that like every 30 seconds, someone in the U.S. is diagnosed with sarcoma cancer. So, by the time we're done with this interview today, two people will have this diagnosis. So, just some of the services that we provide, research funding is one. So we grant funding for innovative sarcoma research all over the U.S. So we primarily have funded at University of Minnesota, Children's Hospital, Children's Minnesota, Mayo Clinic, and we did our first international project at University of Calgary just a couple of years ago, and we've got projects at University of Michigan, Florida, so all over. We really like to support early career investigators because those are the future of medicine and don't always have the connections that some of the more established researchers have, and so getting that funding and credibility for their projects is extremely helpful for them. We will reach our 100th research project funded this year. So over time, we've granted 100 research projects. Patient and family support is an area that we get a lot of requests for. So I talked a little bit about our peer support programs where they're paired with a mentor with a similar sarcoma journey. We also have on our 9th edition of Newly Diagnosed Patient Guidebook, which is free for download or hard copy, requested on our website. And that really kind of shows new patients or guides patients on what to expect during their sarcoma journey, specific things to know about subtypes of sarcoma, questions to ask your doctor, resources that are available. So that is another support piece, and then we try to bring people together in person, virtual, at different gatherings. We have a monthly support group, and really just aimed at connection, within this rare disease space, and so that others know that they're not alone dealing with this rare disease. And then the third kind of part of our mission is to promote awareness about sarcoma and our education programs. So we've got a scholar program which trains medical students and advanced practice students about sarcoma. So they take that knowledge into their careers in medicine, and we really focus on early detection, what to look for, when you should biopsy, how it's treated, and we hope that those students will take that into their future, whether they're in family practice or primary care, or if they decide they are intrigued by sarcoma and decide to become, sarcoma experts. And other educational events, community outreach, ad campaigns about the red flags of sarcoma. We work on those annually as well.
All right, we'll talk about those red flags next segment, because that's really important that people know about that. So why do you think, after all this, you've been here for 3 years, right? And congratulations on 100 projects you guys have funded. That is phenomenal over the years.
Thank you.
Is there any, I'm just curious, why is it such maybe a misdiagnosed disease?
Yeah, sarcoma is a tumor in the soft tissue or the bone, so it's often misdiagnosed as something benign, like you might see a bump on your hand or on your toe and think it's your doctor says, oh, it just looks like it's a lipoma or maybe a sports injury, or and so the delayed diagnosis then allows the sarcoma to metastasize in many cases and spread, and it's not until months and months later that they it's not going away, or
sure.
They the pain is still there, and then they do more testing and realize that it's sarcoma. So we like to say, any lump, bump, or bruise or pain that doesn't go away within 2 weeks really probably should have more investigation.
Got it. And we'll talk more about the red flags next segment, hopefully, because I think it's so important that people just have a sense for, especially because it's so prevalent in children, that children just don't know what to do. Adults don't know what to do, but it's good that we are helping identify in the children that if there's things that just don't go away, be thoughtful about that. All right. It's time for a short break. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Lachelle Semanko, and she's the Executive Director of Rein in Sarcoma. And she's here talking about sarcomas, which is an uncommon and often misdiagnosed group of bone and soft tissue cancers that strike children and adults alike. If you have a question for us, please feel free. Give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Haglind, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
Hey everyone, it's Ellie Krug, the host of The Legal Trends Woman, that airs on Saturdays at 3 o'clock. As some of you know, when I'm not doing radio, I'm writing things. A decade ago, I published my first book, Getting to Ellen, a memoir about love, honesty, and gender change. More recently, my newest book, Being Ellen, A Second Chance at Life, was released. I'm thrilled about that. So much so that I partnered with one of AM 950's friends and advertisers, Big Hill Books in Minneapolis, for an author event where you can come and meet me and hopefully buy a book or two. The author event at Big Hill Books will take place on Sunday, March 1st from 2 to 3 in the afternoon. Big Hill Books is a lovely place with all things literary. Please come. I'd love to personally inscribe a book for you and to chat about what it means to live authentically, true to oneself. Again, please join me on Sunday, March 1st at Big Hill Books, which is located at 405 Penn Avenue South in Minneapolis. I look forward to seeing you.
There really is no place like home. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Home Health. When you're faced with an illness or an injury, being able to stay at home and receive care is important. Our home health offers a wide range of services, including skilled nursing, physical, occupational, and speech therapies, aides, homemakers, in-home respite care, and 24/7 live-in care. We'll work closely with your primary care provider to come up with an individualized plan for you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. February is the month for love, so when was the last time you gave your carpet the love and attention it deserves? Maybe you've been procrastinating on the holiday post-mortem cleanup at your house. Are you worried if you got down on your hands and knees what you might see or smell? Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, but it's also the largest air filter in your home. And what's worse, you're going to be stuck inside breathing this nasty stuff for months. Lucky for you, Zero Res is going to spread the love to you and your home. This month, get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $119 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Call my friends at Zero Res right now, 952-ZERO-RES, or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. A 4.9 rating on Google reviews and over 21,000 satisfied customers can't be wrong. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Are you tired of hearing how white European men discovered everything? Then 10,000 Things Theater's production of Men on Boats by Jacqueline Backhouse is for you. It features a cast of the people the first expedition to the Grand Canyon in 1869 left out, running February 19th through March 15th at 4 different locations, starting with Open Book in Minneapolis. Contact 10000things.org. That's 10000things.org.
From the AM 950 Weather Center, I'm Tom Winston. Some flurries afternoon, partly sunny with a high 21. For tonight, some more flurries at a low around 9. Sunday, some flurries and then a high 18. Step into Fort's Children's Theater Company. It's a fort-building wonderland where theatrical elements, evolving lights and soundscapes, and towering towers of cardboard boxes set the scene for shared creative play. Fort's now through April 5th at CTC. Tickets at childrenstheater.org.
This is AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Welcome back, everybody. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today is Lachelle Semanko, Executive Director of Rein in Sarcoma. And she's here talking about sarcomas, which is an uncommon and often misdiagnosed group of bone and soft tissue cancers that strike children and adults, and they strike children much more than in adults, actually, here. But before we return to our conversation with Lachelle, Kay, can you give us a little promo here?
This radio show is brought to you in part each week by Minnesota Hospice. Minnesota Hospice is an independent, locally owned medical practice serving our Twin Cities communities with comprehensive end-of-life health care. The team at Minnesota Hospice provides patients and family members with award-winning end-of-life healthcare services. You may not be aware that hospice brings compassionate medical, social, emotional, and spiritual services to your home with typically no cost to you or your family. Please do not wait to learn how hospice care can benefit you and your loved ones. If you have any questions regarding end-of-life care or support, please contact the compassionate team of experts at Minnesota Hospice. They are available to answer your questions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 952-898-1022. Once again, their number is 952-898-1022. Or visit them online at minnesotahospice.com.
All right, thanks, Kay. Lachelle, how can our listeners contact your organization if they have questions about sarcoma, all the great resources you guys have, if they want to volunteer, if they want to donate? What's the best way to get a hold of you guys?
Best way is to go to our website, which is reininsarcoma.org, REININSARCOMA.org.
All right, fantastic. R-E-I-N, Rien. Rein. All right. Kay, how can our listeners contact us with questions during today's show?
Listeners can call us with questions at 952-946-6205 or text us at 612-999-3426.
All right, thank you. All right, Lachelle, boy, there's so much to talk about here. What are some of the misunderstandings or apprehensions that people may have about sarcoma, your services, just understanding the world that we're talking about today?
Yeah, many people think that sarcoma is one disease, but there are actually over 100 different subtypes, which are rare, and even some that are considered ultra rare. So, every single one of those subtypes have a different treatment protocol and response to treatments, and so it's important to find out, what that subtype is once you're diagnosed. People assume that rare cancers receive funding for research, and that is not the case. Rare cancers desperately need funding to improve treatments and ultimately a cure. Some people believe that they hear the word clinical trial and kind of feel like, oh, that's a last resort. I don't want to look into that. But there are actually many cutting edge treatment options within clinical trials. And in some cases of some subtypes of sarcoma, clinical trials might be the only treatment option that's available. So it's important to talk to your doctor and find out what all of your treatments are and advocate for yourself. If your doctor doesn't mention a clinical trial as an option, you can find that information with a link on our website on your own. So, yeah.
What do you wish people knew more about sarcoma? Again, where we're at in learning more about it and treatments and diagnoses and all kinds of things that are important to know as a person maybe starts to navigate through for themselves or for a loved one.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I would like to drive home to everyone that's listening is just know the red flags of sarcoma. Early detection is really critical and important to survival if you are diagnosed. So we like to say you should look for lumps, bumps, and bruises. Pain that lasts more than 2 weeks and intensifies especially at night. Lumps the size of a golf ball, even if they're not painful. We have a golf ball campaign that says, look for lumps, bumps, and bruises. So when you're thinking about that size, get it checked out. So, almost every patient that I have seen or met has said they were misdiagnosed in the beginning. So a lump appears like a sports injury or, a lipoma or something that's much more common and benign. And, months and months go by, nothing, changes or it grows or gets more painful. And by that time, it's oftentimes the cancer has spread or grown and making treatment more difficult. So again, I would say advocate for yourself. If it's not going away and you have those symptoms, get a second opinion or, ask your doctor again about it. What was the other question?
Well, I'm curious, while we're looking at this, how about survival rates for both children and adults? Again, a lot of it depends on how quickly people catch that proper diagnosis.
Yep. It really depends on how quickly you're diagnosed so that you can start your treatment. But overall, survival rates in sarcoma are about 50%. And it, again, depends on the subtype and how early it's caught.
Yeah. And just to remind people, when you said subtypes, so sarcoma is an umbrella under the cancer umbrella, right? And so then underneath sarcoma, there's 100 different versions, essentially subtype for those of us that are not clinical. And so it's quite an amazing array of different things, which is why it can be difficult to diagnose initially. So
definitely.
Okay. Well, let's talk about, you do have events. And you talked about the golf ball thing, and I know it's one of the events. Would you mind talking about some of the events that you have coming up here?
Yes, we
help
have.
Support you guys.
Yeah, definitely. So in July, every July, in honor of Karen Wyckoff, who started the Carousel fundraiser in 2001, we host a party in the park, which is end of July. July is also Sarcoma Awareness Month, and so that event is our signature community fundraising event. It brings together families, supporters, researchers, and really celebrates survivorhood and honors loved ones. There are free activities, food, and for anyone who would like to come and support that event. Coming up soon in this March, we have our Rien and Sarcoma Research Symposium. So that is where we bring together national sarcoma experts on research projects that have been funded by Rien and Sarcoma. So this year, we're also hosting our first poster session. So if anyone's interested in attending, that's also a free event to attend. You can find that on our website. We have the Golf Classic. If you're a golfer, bring your foursome. There are sponsorship opportunities and also golfer registration coming soon, and that will be on our website. That event is June and at Edinburgh Golf Course in Brooklyn Park. And then our big kind of signature gala event is called our Sunflower Gala. That's in the fall, September, at the Metropolitan Ballroom in Golden Valley. And again, brings Sarcoma community supporters together to raise funds for the mission, and you will hear impactful stories. There will be a dinner, a program, and auctions and entertainment. It's kind of your typical gala event.
Right. And when is that during this year?
That is in September 18th.
September 18th this year. Okay, all right. And, okay. So the Sarcoma Research Symposium, when is that happening?
March 20th at the University of Minnesota, and there is information about signing up and registering and attending. You can attend virtually or in person, and you just sign up on our website.
All right, fantastic. Yeah, there's a lot of great things here, and that is under the events tab, folks, under the ReinInSarcoma.org website. All right, I was thinking, what are some of the stories of people that have been helped with the services you guys provide, and just some of the things to give people hope about when they are dealing with this particular type of condition?
Yeah, I think, like I said, what I always hear is I would like to connect with others who have been on this journey. I don't know anyone who's gone through this. And I'm thinking of a teenage girl that I met a couple of years ago, who was newly diagnosed, 16-year-old girl, and had a bone sarcoma in her leg. She had to have her leg amputated, and as you can imagine, as a 16-year-old girl, that was very devastating, but it was the only treatment option for her. And after she had that amputation, she came to that Party in the Park event for the first time, and with her family, and it was her first introduction to Rien and Sarcoma. She was welcomed with community supporters and others who had been through that journey. She was able to see others who had amputations like hers and know that, she wasn't the only one. I think, it helped give her and her family hope to see other survivors there. She and her family continued attending gatherings and talking with peer mentors through Rien and Sarcoma. And unfortunately, just this past winter, after a couple of years, she did pass away from her sarcoma. It was devastating for all of us and, in the community. And it's really why it's so important to us to not give up this, fight until a cure is found and we can help others. Her family was so grateful for the support from Rien and Sarcoma over the years, and they're still involved with us today. And there are many, many stories like that, and many that have lost a loved one to sarcoma that find that being involved with Rien and Sarcoma is a way for them to give back and carry on the legacy of their loved one.
Yeah, I was just looking at your website, and you had mentioned the patient guidebook, and that if people are interested, it is a downloadable guidebook for people that are dealing with sarcoma, and it's up at the top of the page, and it's Yeah, so you can, it's available in, you can order a hard copy if for some reason they don't have a printer or whatever. But it's a digital download, and I like how it says, take charge of your sarcoma story. I mean, people sometimes feel so helpless when life throws them a curveball.
Yeah, I know one of our other patients, she received the guidebook and handed it right to her husband, who was the caregiver, and said, I don't want to read anything here. It gives me, a lot of anxiety, but I want you to have this information and knowledge. And having the hard copy, we're happy to mail them out anywhere to anyone who wants one, but it's nice because you can make notes. There are sections for notes that you can take to your appointments, or like questions to ask your doctor, and make notes there too. So we're happy to provide it in any format.
Yeah. Now, again, there's only like 3 organizations in the entire country that are doing this, and you guys are doing it the best, I think. And so you must connect with people really all across the country. It's not just in Minnesota, but throughout the country that, I mean, you say every 30 minutes someone's diagnosed with this condition.
Yeah. We've worked with and support patients all across the U.S. In fact, we've had a significant increase in patient request supports in the past couple of months, and I've seen, patients coming to us from Texas, Oklahoma, Florida, Seattle. I mean, all over, and it's. I'm so grateful that we're here to help.
Right. And just to remind people before we go into the next break here, is that if they are interested in volunteering, donations, you're a 501c, you guys just really appreciate any kind of help whatsoever. Feel free to go to ReinInSarcoma.org, and the Rien is spelled REIN. So ReinInSarcoma.org, and there's donate buttons, there's volunteer buttons. Very nicely laid out website here, and please be sure and do that. And so just to remind people, so the next event that's coming up here is in March. You said that's the symposium?
Yep,
okay.
Research symposium.
Okay, and anybody can attend that, or is it only for medical people or healthcare people?
Anyone can attend. There's a lot of medical jargon that gets talked about, but it's so fascinating to see the research that's being done.
Yeah, right. Okay, fantastic. And that's at the University of Minnesota?
Yep,
Wonderful.
Or virtual.
Which is great. All right, folks, it's time for a short break. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Lachelle Semanko, the Executive Director of Rein in Sarcoma. And she's here talking about sarcomas. It's an uncommon and often misdiagnosed group of bone and soft tissue cancers that strike children and adults alike. If you have a question for us, please give us a call, 952-946-6205, or text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Haglind, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
I looked at you, you looked at me, and I knew right away that it was wrong.
Are barriers in your home making everyday life harder? Every step, every doorway, every slippery surface can be a risk, and waiting can be dangerous. Rebuilding Together Minnesota's Safe at Home program provides home safety repairs and mobility modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, helping people with disabilities live safely, independently, and with dignity. They install mobility supports, fall prevention equipment, and aging-in-place modifications. Grab bars, ramps, railings, slip grips, even exterior stair, porch, and deck replacements. They also provide fire safety upgrades, including smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. Applications are open through March 31st, 2026. A short window, and once it closes, you'll have to wait until next year. Don't wait for an accident or injury to force change. Let your neighbors help you live safely at home. Apply today at rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Safe at Home. Safety, independence, and dignity for every Minnesotan.
Hi, I'm Mary T. Caring for others runs deep in my family. My grandmother, Rosa, was a nurse who cared for people in their homes more than a century ago. Inspired by her compassion, my mother, Margaret, and I founded the Mary T. family of companies nearly 50 years ago. Today, we continue that legacy across Minnesota, Wisconsin, Maryland, and Arizona, providing senior living, assisted living with memory care, home health, hospice care, rental housing, and support for people with disabilities. Each service is personal, creative, and focuses focuses on the unique needs of those we serve. We also believe in joy and community, which is why we opened Crooner Supper Club in Fridley, a place to celebrate life with music, laughter, and connection. At Mary T, we're proud to be a Minnesota family company rooted in compassion, inclusion, and respect. And proud supporters of AM 950 and the values that this station represents. Visit MaryTinc.com to learn more.
Congratulations to Mary T, named one of the most admired CEOs of 2026 by the Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Journal.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. February is the month for love, so when was the last time you gave your carpet the love and attention it deserves? Maybe you've been procrastinating on the holiday post-mortem cleanup at your house. Are you worried if you got down on your hands and knees what you might see or smell? Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, but it's also the largest air filter in your home. And what's worse, you're going to be stuck inside breathing this nasty stuff for months. Lucky for you, Zero Res is going to spread the love to you and your home. This month, get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $119 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Call my friends at Zero Res right now, 952-ZERO-RES, or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. A 4.9 rating on Google reviews and over 21,000 satisfied customers can't be wrong. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
All right, welcome back, everybody. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today is Lachelle Semanko. She is the Executive Director of Rein in Sarcoma, an organization that's focused on helping raise awareness for this often misdiagnosed and uncommon group of bone and soft tissue cancers that strike both children and adults alike and is much more prevalent in children. So, Lachelle, how can our listeners contact you and your organization if they have questions or want more information or want to help support the mission that you guys have?
Yeah, the best place to visit is our website, which is www.reininsarcoma.org, and you'll find information on, how to donate. You'll see sarcoma stories, volunteer information, and upcoming events. And patient support. It's all there on the website.
Very nice, very thorough. And again, I really encourage people to reininsarcoma.org. Visit that site if you have any questions. And again, Rein is REIN. All right. Kay, how can our listeners contact us with any questions they have during today's show?
Listeners can call us with questions at 952-946-6205 or text us at 612-999-3426.
All right. So some of the questions that are coming in via text is, does it cost anything to reach out to you guys or to get help or get, just help in the journey? I know you've got that nice guidebook which you've created. Are there any costs involved?
No costs whatsoever to any patients, caregivers, or families that come to us. Every patient service is provided at no charge. So we encourage you to visit us and seek resources if needed.
Yeah. So what are the frequently asked questions that you guys get from people? I'm sure I'm going to get some of these questions here after the show on our radio show phone here. But what are some of the questions that people tend to ask when they're reaching out to you guys for support and help?
Yeah. Newly diagnosed patients often ask, what doctor should I see? Where should I go? And we always say that they should find a sarcoma center of excellence. So making sure that you're seeing not just an oncologist, but a sarcoma expert. And you can find that information on our website, there are links to Sarcoma Centers of Excellence, and we are fortunate to have 2 here right in Minnesota, Mayo Clinic and University of Minnesota, but we do, again, recommend that every patient diagnosed with sarcoma should be seen at one of those centers to make sure that you're getting the expert care and treatments available, and there are centers all across the U.S. And in the world. Other questions are, I want to talk to someone who has my sarcoma type or connect, and they may even be a caregiver caring for a child or a parent who has sarcoma, and we can connect them with peer mentors. We kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. We get asked, how do I participate in clinical trials? And we have resources on our website where patients can seek that information, look for trials near them with their sarcoma type. And not all clinical trials are, need to be in person. Sometimes you can be treated at your local clinic or specialist, and even though the trial's taking place somewhere else. So just know that that's an option, and there are other resources available to help patients that do need to travel for trials or treatment, and we can help provide those connections with resources as well.
So you said Sarcoma Centers of Excellence, and there's 2 of them here in Minnesota. And like you said, there's several other ones across the country. So if, again, people are listening to this online or on a podcast in the future, is that something that they could contact you guys to help kind of navigate what does that mean? And if they're calling from, especially in the Midwest area, since you guys kind of cover the Midwest, but you're supporting the entire country and globe, actually, because do you get calls internationally?
We do get some calls internationally and some patient support requests, and we do our best to accommodate those.
Yeah, but if they are trying to figure out, well, where do I begin my journey here? Because I think that's really important to find someone who you connect with and you feel like they really have the latest information available for treatment. They can just give you guys a call, and you guys can help kind of find people for that.
Yes, absolutely. You can Google it also and find out, what are the Sarcoma Centers of Excellence. You should know that. But definitely we're able to connect people with their closest center or specialists in their area.
And it's interesting, just going back to the fact that there's 100 subtypes. That just kind of is amazing to me that you talk about bone and soft tissue, there's 2 different kinds. Well, no, there's 100 different kinds. And I can see why people are trying to figure out, well, where's my group that is one of these 100 subtypes? Do they have them on different social media sites where people can get together? Do you know of anybody that, or any different groups that are out there?
Yeah, there are some subtype organizations. I'm thinking of there's an osteosarcoma group located in the Midwest. There is a newly Ewing sarcoma subgroup. So there are others, but we can connect you with those groups. Connect us or reach out to us at Rien and Sarcoma, and we will find your subtype.
Fantastic. Well, we are at the end of the show. I want to thank Lachelle Semanko, Executive Director of Rein in Sarcoma, for taking the time today to talk about sarcomas, an uncommon and often misdiagnosed group of bone and soft tissue cancers that strike children and adults alike. You can find out more at reininsarcoma.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Please contact us with any questions or comments you have regarding today's conversation. You can reach us anytime by voice or text at 612-999-3426. Lachelle, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Ken.
Kay, thank you for your help today. Great job. Appreciate that. Join us again next Saturday at noon for another broadcast. And thank you for listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about your health and your life. Until next time, choose to live well.